So there you go, guys. All right. The next question that we're going to get into, okay, is I think this one will have a good conversation with it. Who should I take gun advice from? And I'm gonna start with is when I first got into firearms, right? I had very little knowledge with pistols. Primarily, I was all rifles. That's kind of what I grew up with. Very little knowledge with pistols. So when I got started into it, I was taking the advice of people around me and the people that I thought were reliable, right? But I quickly realized they don't know what they're talking about. So in my small brain, when I first got started in all this, I thought people who worked at gun stores, they worked behind gun counters. I thought they were the most knowledgeable people ever. Crap, they have a tag that says gun expert, right? Like they have to be smart. But then I started hearing some of the stuff they were saying, and it didn't really match up with anything I wanted to listen to. They were telling people to, get in gun store counters vary, but there is one Cabela's in the state of Kansas that I'm never allowed to go back to. I'm not allowed back, I think, on the property because I would go there every weekend just to argue with the people at the gun store or the gun counter. Right. It was just my, it's fun. Some people go to Dave and Buster's. Some people go to Buffalo Wild Wings. I went to Cabela's to argue at the gun counter. Because they lied to me, okay? And I hated that they lied to me and that they lied to people, so I went to argue with them. But they would say certain things like, well, you don't need to carry it around in the chamber. The most reliable gun is a revolver. You'll never have an issue with a 1911. Oh, you should carry this 3-inch barreled Kimber Micro whatever, and it's super reliable, and it's super nice. Okay. Glocks are horrible. I don't know. The list goes on, but that's the kind of stuff I would hear. And then once I started training and I started using firearms, I started seeing stuff. I was kind of like, oh, those dudes have no idea what they're talking about. They're telling people to carry all these different types of pistols. I'm trying to see if I have they're telling people to carry all these different types of pistols or all these different things. They're not even asking them, like, what are your physical limitations? What disabilities do you have? What kind of issues do you go through? What do you need the pistol for? Those would be the questions I would ask if someone said, hey, can you give me some advice on buying a gun?
Right.
That's how I would start it. But for you to look at anybody and say, well, here's the gun, and not even asking me those questions, I think you're a jackwagon. Case in point, if you are a woman and someone hands you a pink, purple, or blue gun, slap them in the face right off the bat. Just slap them right in the face. Secondly, if they hand you a revolver because they tell you, due to your small brain, this is all you can operate, and you can just pick it up and use it, smack them in the face, okay? Because and here's an argument I'll give too. People talk crap about revolvers or about Glocks and everything else carrying on a loaded chamber, right? Having one in the chamber.
Yep.
No one says that about revolvers, because revolvers, if they're loaded, are always one in the chamber, unless they're single action. But it's still one in the. So my argument with it is people get worried about this trigger, but they don't get worried about a trigger on a revolver because it's 12 pounds. Well, what are they going to shoot better? Are they going to shoot something that has actual sights, has a better grip, has a nicer trigger? Or are they going to shoot a crappy grip, crappy sights, and a crappy trigger? Because most of these people that get revolvers aren't taking them to training courses. They're loading them up, putting them in a purse or whatever it is, and they're leaving. So I think when it comes to who do we take advice from, you need to look at people that actually carry. And that's the issue I have with 90% of those dudes. Is those are the guys that they'll tell you to carry X, Y, or Z or get this gun, and they don't carry all the time. They might tell you they do, but when you go run into them, they do not carry all the time. When I went to I was at the NRA show in Dallas, Texas, a couple years ago. I ran into a bunch of gun people that weren't carrying a gun, and I was carrying two. So I mean, it was in Dallas, but but that's my argument with it is you need to look at the credibility of the person you're talking to. And unfortunately, what a lot of us do is we take advice from prior military and prior law enforcement. Well, prior military guys will tell you that the Beretta 92 sucks. It's a horrible pistol. Prior military people might tell you that the 1911 sucks. It's a horrible pistol. Prior military people might tell you the AR-15 is the worst rifle in the world because that was their experience with crappy military ones. I thought our Beretta 90, or I thought our M9s were tiger striped for the longest time because that's all I saw. You know what I mean? The tiger stripe black and gray.
Right.
That's all I saw. And then once I bought my 92X, I was like, oh, this is how they're supposed to run. You know what I mean?
Right.
It opened my eyes. So look at the person that you're talking to. If they do not go shooting all the time, if they don't carry guns, if they don't think it's important enough for them to do it, why would you take their advice for you to do it? And that's kind of my 2 cents with it. What do you think?
You hit on a lot of the same points that I would have had, like just me coming into guns, because I haven't always been into guns. It's probably, I think I first got into it back in 2013, so it's going on 7 years. I've been fortunate enough, at least from what I think, I haven't ran into any of the misleading gun store counter clerks. But what you really have to be wary of besides them is the people shopping around in the gun store that decide to give their own advice. So when I went to go buy my Hellcat a few months ago, I was just looking because I was browsing, because that's what guys do when the wives are out. I was like, I'm gonna get a new gun. But then there was a lady who came in, and then the clerk being nice and polite was like, how may I help you? She was like, I'm looking for a girl gun. And immediately in my head, I was like, there's no such thing as a girl gun. Now, there are guns that cater to people who maybe don't have strong hand dexterity, have certain limitations like you were speaking of. But she was looking for a girl gun. Then an older couple behind me was like, the lady with him was like, you should get a 22. I've had a 22 all my life. Again, me, trying to mind my own business because, you don't want to be nosy. But I'm like, why? Why would you do that to her? Like 22 is a good train round, but like just to hear that, like that's just some of the something that I've experienced, like people giving advice, and I was like, that could set her up because 22, shot placement, but newer shooters not knowing much. Like personally, I would have liked to jump in and tell her, but
the ammo's unreliable. That's
exactly.
Like I don't want to get shot in the chest with 10 rounds of 22. I don't. Right?
I don't. That's if the shooter can make it through their mag.
Exactly.
Get the round off.
Exactly. So,
but yeah. So I just remember hearing that, and then just growing up, more so what I look to is like again, just being in the military. So obviously, guys in the military and then former law enforcement or former military and all prior service, giving recommendations. But now, like being older and knowing a little bit more than I did now, like. My advice to people watching, like if you're seeking out gun advice, especially being a newer gun owner, there are certain people you should not take advice from. One, if like you said, they're kind of narrow-minded and focused, like this is the only gun that works. All right, it's like, oh, you should only get a revolver because it's this, or you should only get a Glock because it's this. People who don't carry, all right, if they don't carry on the regular, should not take their advice on what kind of gun to get for self or personal protection and carrying out in public. Another thing I would say is people who only own one gun or one type of gun, because that means they don't really have a lot of experience. Because how are you going to ask you, like, what should I get as my concealed carry gun? And all the guy has is J-frame revolvers chambered in 38. So he's like, oh, yeah, you should get a revolver. But I was like, what other experience do you have? So I definitely just stay away from especially the one gun owner, especially if he doesn't use it because he doesn't know how reliable it is. He's only accustomed to that one. So obviously people who have maybe a wide, I'm not gonna say I hate using the word experience, but have encountered a few different weapon types, along and however long they've been associated with guns, just so they can give a recommendation. Obviously, if you find them credible. So that's the stuff I'd be wary of, just especially guys who only say one type of gun works and everything else sucks. Stay away from them.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you too. I started my first pistol was a P320 9mm, and I bought it when they first kind of hit the market before they got popular. So because I think they originally came out in 2014 or 15. I
Yep.
bought mine. I bought mine at the end of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I got one of the first ones, and but anyway, and then the next month I bought a P3 2045 so I could hold on to it.
Yep.
But the a conversation I had with a buddy of mine is he saw one of my videos where I talked about shooting, or I talked about something like how many rounds have you put through your gun, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that a lot of people I don't really think they understand too much is they think that going to the range and shooting 20 rounds is, or 50 rounds even, that is some
Mm-hmm.
form of a test. Um, that's not, because if you look at
Mm-hmm.
most guns that do have issues, like I had a buddy of mine who had a Kimber Micro 3-inch, whatever, Ultra or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
It was super reliable for the first 500 rounds. Like
Yep.
I'm not, it made it through 500 rounds. It was 2 range trips that we did.
Mm-hmm.
He shot 500 rounds. It was good.
Yep.
501 and on, he could not get through a whole magazine without it malfunctioning.
Mm.
So what if you only shot 50 rounds out of it? You'd think, hey, I have the most reliable gun ever, right? But you don't
Yep.
really know. So what I would try to do is every time you go to the range, maybe try to shoot between 50 and 100 rounds. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just go to the range, shoot a magazine, and call it good. But what are you doing with that ammo, right? Because you shouldn't waste it.
Yep.
I recommend going and taking training courses, because training courses will teach you what to practice. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
show you certain shooting drills. They'll show you what things to focus on that you can't see for yourself. And a lot of people that say, well, I'm self-trained, that makes no sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look at any other profession, and people that say that they're self-trained, they're really not, or they're
Mm-hmm.
not good at it. And that's just what I'll say about that. Like people that say, well, I trained myself on how to do this. No, you didn't. You had to find some external source that showed you a way to do it or a way not to do it, and you decided to go that way or go the other way. There's no way in 2020 that someone is able to pick up a gun, run a gun, without looking at anyone else do it. It's physically impossible. I
Right.
don't believe it, right? Whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
TV show, a movie, a YouTube, whatever it is, there was some source that you found, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what you've based all your mindset on. Well, when you're self-trained and you just go to the range on your own, how do you know you're gripping the gun correctly? You don't. How do you know the sight picture you're getting is actually a proper sight picture you're supposed to get? I know a guy who I've trained quite a bit. He held his breath the whole time he was shooting. And this guy has taken professional courses from one awesome instructors, great guys, and
Mm-hmm.
all through their course, he was shooting and holding his breath. We go out on the range, and he's in one of my pistol classes, and I said,
Uh-huh.
hey, dude, what are you doing? What do you mean? I said, when you draw your gun, why are you holding in your breath? And I was like, well, why do you exhale when you're empty? And he goes, it's just what I've always done. And I was just like, no, don't do that anymore. So I was like, here's what I do, because what you have to think about anyways, if you get in a situation to where it's, hey, I need to draw on my gun, you're going to be pumping anyway, full of
Mm-hmm.
adrenaline. A way to calm yourself down is a deep breath.
Yep.
Also, we have capillaries in our eyes. If we do not allow them to gain the proper amount of oxygen, they will start to seize up.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if I hold my breath in and I'm looking down sights, and I'm sure you've seen it looking through a rifle or pistol, but
Yeah.
that target will start getting blurry. If you
Mm-hmm.
take a deep breath and exhale, it's a clear sight picture.
Yep.
So what I do and what I recommend other people to do is, as you're drawing your gun out, take a deep breath. As you're pressing that gun out, putting it into action, exhale. So if I'm going to draw and I'm pushing out as my pistol's coming out, those sights are getting lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Because something I've changed my opinion on is, what I used to teach is you press out and up to get on the target. What I now teach is up and out, because if my sights are already lined up back here, I
Mm-hmm.
can start shooting the whole process as opposed to waiting down here. So those
Yep.
are different things that I've learned from actual gun people as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to gun store clerks. So if I'm going to listen to someone that tells me what, gun to get or advice, how often do you shoot? What do you shoot?
Mm-hmm.
What do you carry? And how do you carry it? Because if they say, oh, it's in my car, I'm not listening to you. And that's just me. That is just me. I know that there are some signs that people abide by. Okay. If it's not a metal detector. But I know that, people get scared of pieces of paper and stuff, and I get that. But if you don't carry, I'm not going to listen to you. If you don't drive a car, don't tell me how to drive a car. So, do you have anything else with that before we move on to the next question?
No, no issues.
Okay. Hey, this episode too, what you guys will be able to see is, or this series, is you can have two grown men disagree on something and not start a feud. Okay.
What?
So there you go. Bunch of high school girls. Okay, so new tips for a gun owner. Since I just went on a rant, the floor is yours. New tips
Okay.
that you would kind of give, or something that maybe you wish someone would have
Okay.
told you from the very beginning.
Okay. Let's see. So I think I've been fortunate enough that I haven't really made, I should say, too many expensive mistakes regarding guns, except nothing is SIG, but I hate the P250. It just didn't work for me. So double action. So just something I wish I would have learned sooner. Is sometimes double action. It takes a little bit of skill to learn how to effectively use it. I'm gonna say that. So don't expect double action only guns to shoot like certain 1911. Some may, obviously with some work, but like brand new out of the box, it can be jarring. So it's not a very joyous experience, especially if you don't know. This is probably one time the gun counter clerk let me down. Didn't let me know the gun was double action only. I thought it was, double action, single action. But that's just one.
A gun store clerk didn't know what was in his counter? Oh, man.
So he failed to tell me. Like he was like, yeah, it's just like all the other six. So that's one time gun counter clerk let me down. But it's something I really wish, because everybody has their holster collection, is to actually like test your holsters out. Like, if you go out to training, yes, awesome. But don't just get a holster put in, but like, yeah, this works. Like, especially, now with the world ending with COVID-19, it's kind of hard to like go out in public and all that, try it out. But like, say if you get a new holster, just wear it around the house. Like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, depending on what you're doing, just wear it around the house and see if you're able to do normal daily tasks. Because more than likely, if you're able to do normal daily tasks around the house wearing the holster and it doesn't bother you, you'll be able to take it out in your any day, whatever you're doing out in town, and it won't bother you as much. Stay away from Uncle Mike's holsters. They suck.
Yeah.
Right? Don't go Uncle Mike's holsters. I had to learn that mistake the hard way when it fell apart on me when I was actually carrying a gun in Walmart. All right. So very bad.
Oh, crap.
Yes. The holster actually, and this is what I actually learned. Funny conversation. We were talking about the clips, because, Uncle Mike's doesn't really have the hook on a clip. It's just, kind of just fold over, relying on friction resistance and, the word above to keep it on your belt.
Yeah.
And then walk around in Walmart, the nylon actually tore, and I was carrying my 1911 because it was a 1911 holster, Uncle Mike. And the gun fell down my pant leg and hit the ground. Luckily, no one was in the aisle when it happened, but it did cause some issues. So stay away from that. So make sure you actually walk around and test your holsters, because you don't want your gun falling down your pants in the store. Okay.
Or just get quality. Just get quality from the start.
Yeah, get quality from the start. Don't cheap out.
So what he's referring to, guys, if we look at this McKenna Tech clip that's on here, there is a portion right here that would be underneath the belt. I don't think I have a belt in here to try it on, but that is the best way to do it, because it goes under the belt, not just over top of the belt. Because when you have a clip that just goes over top of the belt, they'll come loose. That's also another reason I kind of go loops instead of clips, because then you never have you never have to worry about it. I'm trying to see if I have. Man, where did I put it? I had one sitting in here. I'll find it for the next one. We'll do another video with all the holsters or something, and I'll do that. But yeah, all right. Anything else?
No. That's really just something what I wish I learned early on. Now that I know now, it also saved a headache.
Yeah. I would say for me, I wish I just maybe have done my more research into stuff prior to listening to other people. Now, thankfully, I've never bought a crappy gun, and that was because I went and I did the research on it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I've wasted money on magazines. I've wasted a bunch of money on magazines because I thought I could buy the $10 Pro Mags, and they'd run just fine. And I bought a bunch of them. I bought them for my Smith & Wesson Shield, which I was using as a backup gun at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I ran it through a class, and the Pro Mag, the spring just collapsed completely, which I don't even know how it worked. But the follower went straight to the bottom, and my ammo would no longer cycle. So now I'm in this class. I had a couple mags. Now I have two. And they're the two factory ones, and they work just fine, but it was a pain in the butt because now I have to sit here and load a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about too, is just spend the money and buy the factory magazines. You are not going to get more reliable magazines in the factory with certain guns. If you have a 1911, the only magazines you need to buy are Wilson Combat. They don't sponsor me yet, but you can buy me. It's fine. Wilson, if you're listening. So what Wilson Combat would be my choice, just because I have 2,000 something rounds through one Wilson 9mm magazine without ever taking it apart. Like, I've never taken it apart. I have over 2,000 rounds through it. Never once had a single malfunction out of that mag. So yeah, I would agree that those are the best magazines out there. If other custom 1911 makers have their own mags, like Nighthawk, Les Baer, Ed Brown, I'm sure they're fine, because I mean it's a $3,000-$4,000 gun, so I hope it comes with reliable magazines. But if you are getting into the 1911 world, just save whatever money you have and go and get a Wilson. Also, something to think about, which I kind of wish somebody would have told me too, when you guys go to the range, when you buy your gun, obviously you're going to take it to the range. You're buying ammo and everything else, right? Go buy a range bag. And when you buy a range bag, don't buy one from a gun show. I'm trying to see if I have it sitting here. I keep it just to show people how crappy it is. But I had this crappy range bag from a gun show. And it fell apart on me. And now I'm at a range, and the seam's ripped, and I'm sitting there trying to like figure out what other pouch to put the stuff in. Just either save up, but just there are other options out there that aren't breaking the bank. Just get nice stuff the first time, and you don't have to ever replace bad stuff. And that's my biggest thing that I would tell a new gun owner now. Buy good stuff now, and you won't have to replace it later. Where if you just say, well, I'll buy this now, and I'll look at getting stuff later, this isn't something that you want to do that with. Would you say, hey, I'm okay with getting those $50 tires and putting them on my Corvette? No. So we shouldn't be okay with doing that with a life-saving device, which is what this is, right? This is life-saving equipment. So just get quality stuff now and save the time. Another thing for me, and I'll use this as the last one, belts. Belts. I have more belts than I have holsters. And if you know me, I have a lot of holsters. But I have more belts than holsters. So what I started doing is just telling people, hey, get this belt, get that belt, whatever, right? If you go with a leather belt, get a double-stitched leather belt. And a good way to test your belt, go to wherever you're at in the belt store and grab it. If you can squeeze as hard as you can, and if it bends in, do not buy that belt for carry. Because if it doesn't support you squeezing it, it's not going to support the weight of the gun on there. If you go with leather, that's why I recommend double stitch. But like this one, I got this belt I think from Cabela's, and it was like $30. And it is a good little. It's the one that I use out on if I'm running a leather belt, I'll use it on ranges and stuff. But this is a good option if you don't want to do leather, which I understand some people don't like it. They like more the instructor style belts. I recommend Liberty gun belts. I've been running the belt for a year and a half now, and I've had zero issues. But I recommend a Cobra buckle. And a cobra buckle is where the female end and the male adapter, they connect. And then when you want to take the belt off, you just unclip it rather than unweaving it. For me, that just kind of is a little bit easier, and I like that. But, I mean, you do whatever you want, but make sure that we're testing the belt prior to just, okay, I bought it. Now I'm trying to pull it tighter to hold my gun up because it's not properly holding my gun. And that's something I noticed from carrying is guns that I used to think, well, crap, I can't conceal. There was a point where I was carrying a Smith & Wesson Shield. That was my carry gun. And then my P320 was my home defense gun because I didn't think I could carry a bigger gun. But that was my carry gun. And I had went through like, man, I can't conceal carry this gun. Everyone's like, this is such a small gun. How is it not being concealed? Well, it's because I had a crappy belt. I had bought new holsters. I was just like, crap, dude, I can't get any of these to work right. Well, it's because my belt sucked. And my belt wasn't properly supporting it, and it was dropping down every time I would move. The gun would shift. Get a solid belt. The belt is the foundation to carry, not the holster, not the gun. The belt is the foundation to carry. Same belt, I can carry full-size guns and small guns. It's not a problem. But so that's just kind of how I feel about it, guys. Do you have anything you want to add?
Comps are coming 2020, 2021. Just be ready for it.
If I ever feel the urge. A 9mm that has a compensator, right?
Yes.
I will call you and let you know. Okay. Okay. But I'll tell you what, bud. I'll use extended magazine release before I'll use a compensator.
You shouldn't do that. Speaking from experience, you don't want to use extended magazine release.
I was looking through some videos, bud. I found some shooting range videos of when some guys came up to train with me, and I found it. And I'm going to use it as the opening scene for this podcast.
Man. Oh, that'd be unfortunate. I don't want our friendship to come to an end. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to consider it again, but no, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, going once, going twice. Okay, we're done. All right. Hey, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. Okay, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did not like the video, give me a thumbs up and complain about it in the comment section. That's what it is there for. As always, guys, stay tuned for more, and Sarge out.